Welcome to the Thane and Lance show. In this tutorial video, we're going to go over location, which is what Inflow calls it. I think location is such an ambiguous term, so I want to clarify. I like the term site. And when you're learning new software, that's part of what you're doing is you're learning the language of the software. And so in Inflow, when they talk about location, they're really talking about a site, like a building with an address. Is that correct, Thane?
That's exactly it. When we're talking about things like bins or aisles, we tend to use the term sublocation within Inflow to distinguish it
Sublocation.
from your sites.
Okay, so remember that. We've got location, which is a building with an address, a site, or a sublocation, which is an aisle, shelf, bin inside your warehouse. So we're going to focus on location slash site. So there's two things I want you to show us, Thane, how to set it up and how to use it.
Yeah,
So where do I go to set up a location?
yeah. So the first thing we're going to do to set up locations is we're going to go into our options menu. So those three bars that you click every time you need. Let's scroll down and go into our
Options,
options menu.
right there. Okay, we're in the options area.
And here, because we're talking about locations in our inventory, at the top of the page there, we're going to click on that inventory tab.
Inventory. Okay. So main menu, options, location, and inventory, then
And you can probably
okay.
guess what you're going to click from this point.
Okay, location.
Locations.
Okay.
And now here you see we have that option at the top where you can break locations down into sublocations.
Okay.
You can click on or off. I generally recommend most people are going to want to have sublocations because knowing where your stuff is pretty important usually when it comes to inventory.
So what I've found is those who get benefit from what you're calling sublocations, bin, shelves, aisles, are those who have larger warehouses or medium size with smaller products. So it kind of
Hmm.
depends on the size of the product and the size of the warehouse. And I would say if you have over 3,000 square foot warehouse with products you can hold in your hand, as an example, you may want to consider turning on sublocations as inventory control to help you know where the item is. And we'll focus on that on another video. So these, however, are the locations, the sites. So we've got sites set up and it looks pretty simple to set up. Add a location, name. Um, I'm gonna put in the city name and maybe I'll just abbreviate it.
And then you can even add the
And then
address if you
add
wanted
an
to as
address.
well.
I love that because it's cueing the user to say, hey, this has an address. This is a building with an address, right? So, okay, so we got an address in there. Click save. We just set up a new site. So that's simple. All right, it's easy to set up a new site. Now, how do we use it?
Yeah,
What do we do with it?
absolutely. So let's go back to our main menu now
Okay,
and click on our home page. And let's look at our products. So if you under inventory where it says products, we're going to pull up
right
our
there.
product list. And let's just take that first one there, Archon Blue.
Okay,
So what we can see here is right now I've got 30 units of this in my Toronto location.
okay.
And if we scroll a little bit further down, there's a little arrow beside Toronto. And if you click on that,
I see.
that is
Okay,
going to let me know, if you click on that arrow, that will let me know which aisle and bin I have my things in as well.
very nice. Okay.
But then as we scroll further down, we're going to be able to see here I have my reorder settings. And one of the
Ah,
nice things about Inflow is you can set up your reorder settings per location because you don't necessarily want the same mins and refresh rates in Salt Lake City that you want in Toronto.
yeah, of course.
So let's click on edit reorder settings and
Okay.
open it up. And you can see here We have our reorder settings, so we're going to choose not just what we want in each location, but how we want to replenish it as well.
Okay.
So in Toronto, I have a purchase order selected because I'm buying this directly from my vendor.
Very nice.
And I can choose the vendor that I want to buy it from. And
Okay.
then as I look down, there's my reorder points. That's my min, and my reorder quantity is the multiples that I replenish them by.
And what I notice is stock transfer, it seems like this might support a hub and spoke type business model.
That's exactly it. So while some of our users do order everything in directly from their vendors to all of their locations, a lot of other ones do use a hub and spoke. So they're ordering everything into their main warehouse and then sending things around. And if we go right down there, we can see in Charlottetown, that's one of these ones. So rather than specifying a vendor that I'm going to get it from, which I'm doing in Toronto, in Charlottetown, and in Ottawa, I'm choosing the stock transfer, and here I'm specifying the location where I'm bringing them in from instead.
So we're still kind of setting it up a little bit more. We set up the location, but now we're setting reorder points per location.
Exactly.
Nice.
And then we can set this up for Salt Lake City as well. And do we want to get this in from a vendor or do we want to transfer this from Toronto? We have those options as we need.
Okay.
And we can set our reorder points to whatever numbers make sense for us.
Right. And if you want to learn how to calculate reorder points, be sure to watch my video on reorder point calculation. We won't get into that on this video.
No, that's a big topic that is really important to business to get right. And um,
Yeah.
so now that we have this
Okay.
set, we're going to hit done.
All
And now
right.
you can see where before it said 3 locations with reordering enabled. Now it says 4. So let's just save that. And on the top right there, we have our lovely little save button.
Okay. Click save.
And there we go. Now what we've done is we've set this up for us. And you can also have Inflow send you email reminders on either a daily, a weekly, or a periodic basis when you do get lower than your minimum points. But rather than going to our email, if we go back up to the top left and click on those 3 important little bars,
Okay.
we're going to scroll down and go into our reorder stock. So let's scroll up a bit more. Right under
Reorder
inventory there, we
stock.
have
There
reorder
it is.
stock. There we
Reorder
go.
stock.
And now we can choose which location we want to check for. So we can choose Toronto here, and I'll see that because this is our hub location, we have our purchase orders broken down by the different vendors who we buy products from.
Okay.
On the top right, though, if we click on Edit Reorder Location, let's actually go and choose Salt Lake City.
Okay.
So here, rather than having our vendors, we have our stock transfers. And this
Nice.
is where
Okay.
we're stocking them in from. So if I did get a few things from Ottawa instead, Ottawa would be listed there separately. And if you see that little arrow by Toronto on the right,
Mm-hmm.
if you click that, it will open it up and show you your current anticipated quantity. That's what you have minus any reserve stock plus any stock that you've already ordered coming in.
I like the term anticipated quantity. I use the term, and I think this is what it is, um, forecasted quantity on hand, meaning what's going to be left after all sales orders, stock transfers, purchase orders, manufacturer orders are complete and fulfilled. What do we have left? Is that
That
what this is
that's
saying?
ex that's
Okay.
exactly what it is.
Anticipated quantity. I also call it forecasted quantity on hand.
Yeah, because obviously you need to take into account what's leaving out the door soon, and you also likewise want to know what's coming in because you don't want inflow to say, you know, well, you know, buy more, buy more, buy more when you've already have a shipment coming in.
So it's saying 7 right there. The
Mm-hmm.
reorder point is 5. And I imagine it's saying 7 because the max is 7,
That's right. So
right?
you set your reorder quantity in our reorder settings to 7 there.
Yeah.
And inflow doesn't quite use max. We use reorder quantities, which is similar but not quite the same.
Okay.
So rather than always saying get up to this number, we're going to set that multiple, and Inflow is going to look at that and say, okay, we're going to order in this case in multiples of 7 until we get back above that 5. So if we were at a current anticipated quantity of -10, then instead of saying get 7, it would say get 21 because we need to order 7 and then 7 more, which is going to put us at 4. And then we're going to order 7 more, which will put us back above that 5.
Yeah, another term for that is increment. Is
Exactly.
that kind of what it is? Okay.
That's exactly what it is. And
Yeah.
some people like having low increments so that they can run a lean warehouse and always have just as many as they need. Some people like having a larger increment where when they get down below a certain amount, they're going to order enough for the month. And that's obviously going to depend on your cash flow situation and warehouse space.
Yeah. Yeah. So then when I click this reorder right here, I imagine it's going to create a stock transfer type order for
It,
us.
it will, but just before you do that,
Okay.
if you notice beside the 7, there's the
Mhm.
pluses and minuses. So you do have the ability to edit that as you need because you understand your business better than a computer does.
Sure.
Uh, and there is also that little switchy button. If I decide I don't want to get this from Toronto and I want to get this from somewhere else, I can change the location that I'm transferring from right from this screen. Uh,
Okay.
right now, we only have stock in Toronto, so I'm going to suggest that we leave it there instead of switching it.
Okay.
So let's switch that back to
Switch
Toronto.
it back. Okay. Ah, we killed it. We broke it.
Let's just refresh that.
I'll go back down here.
So if we go back to our 3 bars,
3 bars.
uh, nope,
Options.
nope. Go back to 3 bars. Just scroll halfway down, and we're
Oh,
going to hit
that's right.
reorder stock.
Reorder stock.
There we go. Let's open that up again.
Okay. Here we go.
So you do have the ability to change the location if you wanted to take stock from another location. Right now, we only have the stock in Toronto, so let's just leave it there, though.
Okay.
And we can hit the reorder button now, and it's going to generate, in this case, just the one stock transfer for us, but it could also generate multiple stock transfers if we need.
Okay.
So we see that little box with the arrow icon. If you click on that, it's going to open our stock transfer in another screen for us.
Okay. Nice. Instead of clicking the big blue, the big yellow button that says done, it's better to click the tiny little. Yeah,
Well,
these are the secrets we learned from the software experts.
sometimes people want to get right into their stock transfers. Sometimes people are just creating the stock transfers and having someone else deal with them
No, I
later.
think it makes sense to go look at what we just created because sure, we may have created it, but did we actually send it to the person that needs to receive it?
Well,
Right?
that's exactly it. And so if we look at that assign to button underneath where it says ST000001,
This one?
nope, just a little bit to your
Oh,
right,
right here.
right below that where it says assign to.
Okay, assigned to. Okay.
So if you click on that, it'll allow you to choose another user who you want to say, hey, this is for you to deal with.
All right, I'm gonna make you deal with it.
All right. So once you click save, that's going to send me a little, if you click save on the top right there, yep,
Mhm.
that's going to send me an email to my inbox saying, hey, Lance said that you need to deal with this stock transfer. And you can see my initials have gone on in the little icon there as well.
So we're
Uh,
on the stock transfer screen. In the top left-hand corner, you see that it says stock transfer. ST stands for stock transfer. We've got a big order number here. And on the left-hand side, we'll see a list of stock transfers. We only have one in the system. That's why we're only seeing one. And then Thane is the one that we assigned it to. This looks like a progress status of the fulfillment of the stock transfer. Right?
yeah, you've got it. And we can print out a stock transfer if we want to from the print menu. When I'm ready to send it, I'm going to click send transfer. I would obviously be logging in myself to do this, but
So
we're
Thane would click send transfer. I would not.
if you assigned it to me to deal with, or if I was in Salt Lake City, then you'd probably send the transfer and then assign it to me,
So what
depending
does
on how.
send transfer do?
So send transfer is going to change the status of these 7 pieces from being in Toronto to being in transit.
So
So let's
just,
actually,
oh, it puts it in transit.
it puts it in transit. So let's
So
click
it
send
sort of
transfer.
pick, packs, and ships it, but it doesn't receive it.
Exactly.
Takes it out of the Toronto stock, and okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, so let's hit send transfer right now.
Send transfer. Okay.
So now we see it saving, and now it's in
In
transit.
transit. Okay.
And let's go back to our product. So if we scroll over where it says Archon Blue there,
Okay.
we have our
Click.
little box with an arrow icon,
Box with an arrow. Okay. Click.
and that's going to open it up in another tab for us. So now what we can see when we scroll down is we've got those 23 in Toronto. Our quantity breakdown right now is showing just Toronto, but if you scroll a little bit, if you look a little bit further down where it says
Okay.
quantity breakdown
Uh-huh.
and click on Toronto there,
Okay.
now let's just clear that and look at our global breakdown. And so now here we can see that we've got those 7 in transit.
In transit. Okay.
If we scroll up to those tabs and click on movement history,
Movement history.
just above the quantity on hand
Right
box.
there.
Yep.
Okay, there it is. Movement history. We'll click on that.
So now we're going to see, our movement history. I made 2 stock adjustments to get some stock in here. And there we have our stock transfer going out, which left at 10:45 a.m. Your time.
Okay.
And now
Like
let's go.
that date and time stamp, sort of an audit
Absolutely.
trail. Okay.
And now let's go back to our stock transfer tab. Right in
Stock transfer tab.
if you go back up to your tabs up there at the top, just your window tabs, not within the program, all the way up to the top.
Oh, up here.
Up here, there we
Okay.
go. So there's our
browser tabs. I see.
absolutely.
So we opened up a new tab, a new browser tab. All right.
So now we can see it's in transit for its status. If you, one of the things that I'm not going to talk about right now, but you do have the ability to restrict users by their location. So you may or may not have access to the Toronto location,
Sure.
which means, well, to the Salt Lake City location. So
Mhm.
if you didn't have access, you wouldn't see this receive transfer. If you did, you would.
Yeah.
But let's pretend that someone else in Salt Lake City is now logging in, seeing this. We could even reassign it to someone else if we wanted to, and they'd get that email.
Yeah, that
When
makes
they're
perfect sense.
Yeah, when they're bringing it in now, they're going to click on receive transfer.
Receive transfer. Okay.
And now we've got it timestamped for when it came in. Our Salt Lake City warehouse is probably a little bit smaller, so we didn't actually assign a sub location. But if it was a bigger location, we could have added a sub location for it as well if we wanted to.
Yeah. Yeah. Going back to what we said earlier, if you have a larger warehouse or your products are smaller, then you may want to consider sub locations, aisle
Exactly,
shelves.
bins,
Yes.
etc. And so now if we go back to our product, back in that browser tab.
To the browser
Yeah,
tab.
we
Okay.
still have it there. And now if we refresh our screen,
So we've got 2 tabs open here.
we've
One's
actually got 3. We've got our options tab open as well.
yeah. Okay.
And now we can see that we've got the 23 in Toronto and the 7 in
And
Salt Lake City.
7 in Salt Lake City.
And when we go to our movement history, we'll be able to see exactly when it was marked as received. We're obviously using a very, very fast delivery service because it only took about 2.5 minutes to move from Toronto to Salt Lake City, including clearing customs.
Yeah, that was a pretty fast shipment. Okay. Well, thank you, Thane. No, that's great. So in this video, we showed you how to set up a location. We defined what a location is. It's a site with an address. And then showed you what it was used for. They're connected to reorder points. And make sure you don't just shoot from the hip with reorder points. Watch my video on properly calculating reorder points. And then we showed you how to do a stock transfer. We did not show you how to purchase for a specific location, but we touched on that. And so in another video, we'll dive more into purchasing. But we did talk a little bit about the calculations and how the system comes up with the numbers it's coming up with and tells you what to transfer. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, please comment below and be sure to subscribe to see more tutorial videos like this to see the features in Inflow and definitely learn how to best use Inflow for your business.
Thank you so much for letting me show you this, Lance. I really appreciate that.